Many games today are built around maximizing playtime. Long grinds, endless progression systems, and designs meant to hold your attention for as long as possible. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, but it does raise an important question. What do we lose when a game is more concerned with keeping us playing rather than leaving an impression? That question is why I wanted to revisit Limbo. Released in 2010, Limbo became one of the most celebrated indie titles of all time. So, 15 years later, I wanted to come back to it, not just to see if it holds up, but to explore what its simplicity can still teach us about modern game design. My name is Paul, this is Load and Behold, and if you enjoy this kind of discussion, please consider subscribing. It really helps out a small channel like mine. Alright, this isn't just a retro revisit. Limbo has become a reference point in indie gaming history. It proved that a small scope can still coincide with quality. More importantly, it meant that games can be experimental, minimal, and still deeply impactful. There isn't even a single line of dialogue spoken. But before we continue, Limbo is best experienced without spoilers. So if you haven't played it, that's your warning. Let's get one thing straight. Limbo is designed around failure. The developers expect you to try, die, and repeat. That's the core loop of this game. Many puzzles can't even be solved on the first attempt. You are forced to experiment. But this experimentation often comes at a cost. You can be stabbed by the legs of a spider and have your head ripped off. There's even one moment where you have to use a bear trap to free a rope from a hanging carcass. This game is entirely black and white, but the violence on display is still horrifying. It's no surprise then that the simplicity in the design philosophy has always split critics. Some see Limbo as too vague and therefore frustrating. Others see it as deliberately minimal with no wasted actions. That's why I often compare Limbo to an indie film rather than a traditional game. I don't say this to diminish the art form, but to highlight its impact. Like a good movie, Limbo lingers, even after the credits roll. I don't really feel the need to replay it, but I find myself thinking about it. And this shows how far a focused, creative vision can go. It was a breakout hit during the Xbox Live Arcade era, a time when indie games were suddenly placed on a global stage. And Limbo helped redefine what small teams could achieve. Revisiting it now made me ask something else too. Why aren't more games willing to be this simple? Take the menus in Limbo. They feel like an extension of this minimalism. And while I'd love some basic display options, their absence almost feels like part of the point. Compare this to something like Assassin's Creed, another Xbox 360 staple. Did we really need hundreds of map markers, layered menus, and dozens of side quests stretching into hundreds of hours? Or would we have been better served by a shorter experience, one that sinks its teeth into our emotions in a way collectibles never can? This isn't an attack on big games. I still enjoy them. But Limbo suggests something important. Games can be less, not more. Take the sound design. Some people have said Limbo barely has a soundtrack at all. Replaying it now, though, I understand why they say that, but I also hear the low drones and subtle audio cues that guide you through puzzles. These aren't songs in the traditional sense, but the sound design is used to provide moments of relief just as much as it's used to heighten the tension. Limbo even uses silence as part of its arsenal. It's restraint, and it works. This philosophy extends to how Limbo guides the player. There's no HUD, no tutorial, no waypoint markers. Mechanics are introduced slowly, and you learn by doing, also by failing. We've seen echoes of this approach in larger games. Ghosts of Tsushima, for example, replaces traditional navigation with environmental cues like guiding wind. It's a small change, but one that keeps you grounded in the world rather than staring at a minimap. That kind of thinking feels rare. Limbo sits firmly in indie territory though, so it's worth comparing it to its modern contemporaries. Since 2010, roguelikes and roguelites have exploded in popularity. Games built around endless replayability, meta progression, and randomness. I get the appeal. I've logged dozens of hours into Monster Train, Vampire Survivors, and Balatro. For many players, value is measured in dollars per hour, but that's never been the metric for me. I like finishing games. I don't always need infinite progression. I measure value by impact, and if a game sticks with me long after I've played it, And while I know some people will say those games have impacted them emotionally, I'd still ask, did they really change how you felt, or were they just fun to play? There's room for both, and there's no wrong answers. Gaming needs balance. Long-form experiences and short-focused ones. Games you live with for a while, and others that ask something of you just for a few hours. Some long games absolutely do earn their runtime. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an experience I'll never forget. The Witcher 3 captivated me in the same way, and Baldur's Gate 3 even sparked a love of D&D I never expected. None of those titles I just mentioned relied on live service models or endless content inflation. They told complete stories. And shorter games still do this today. Titles like Mafia: The Old Country or the Hellblade sequel were criticized for being more like movies than games. But I think that critique says more about expectations than the quality of the games themselves. Other newer titles deserve mention too. Dispatch and Clair Obscur Expedition 33 are both great examples of experiences praised for quality over quantity. So this isn't about saying one type of game is better than another. But replaying Limbo just reminded me of something simple. What matters most isn't how long a game lasts, but what it leaves behind. So I'm curious, what games have had the strongest impact per dollar for you? Not the longest, not the most replayable, but the ones that have stayed with you. Let me know in the comments below. Alright, that's enough from me. If you think someone else would enjoy this video, please consider sharing it with them. And as always, like and subscribe if you want to help the channel grow. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.